Welcome to episode number 28 of Hoop Talk Fanatics. I am here with my co-host, Chris Cohen, and we got a lot to talk about because the upcoming season is around the corner, and I'm excited to hear what Chris's thoughts are on the Donovan Mitchell trade, his Grizzlies schedule, the Sixers schedule, and Montrezl Harrell signed with the Sixers, and some other things to go with that. So I'm happy to have you back.
I'm glad to be back. I'm super pumped. It's getting close to football season, but basketball season not too far away either, and I'm super excited. We got both our teams got a lot to look forward to.
Mm-hmm. All right, so what do you think about Donovan Mitchell getting traded to Cleveland?
It's very, very interested in how it's going to end up working out. It's their Cavs team is talented. I really liked the young core before, and they didn't have to give up any of the key guys to get them, and they obviously want to have anyway. It'll be interesting to see who that fifth starter is at the small forward position. But Garland, Mitchell, Mobley, and Jared Allen are as good of a young core as any team has in the whole NBA. So they'll be able to build with that. And it'll be exciting. I love it. You give up, people freak out about the first round picks, which they gave up a lot, but they're going to be later in the first round, so they're not super valuable. And they did give up Agbaji. As a K fan, that hurt. I wish he could have stayed with them. And I think that's a big loss because he had a chance to really be that star. I think he would have fit perfectly in that starting lineup, but obviously the Jazz wanted him in return, so it made sense. So it'll be a good gift for them. But, Mitchell, I've some thoughts on him. I don't know if he can be the best player on a championship team, but we'll see. Garland will still take another step. There's still a lot of young guys. But one, I think Evan Mobley is going to really determine how good this core can be, because he had a great rookie season, and a lot of people think he already could be an all-star. So I'm excited to see what he can do this season. But the Cavs are a threat in the East, and I think they put themselves in that upper echelon, top 5 or 6 teams that can really compete and win that conference.
I'm very interested to watch their opener against Toronto. And what do you think about that matchup and having to go against Kyle Lowry and some others?
That Raptors matchup is going to be very interesting. I did not know they played opening. That's the Cavs first game, you said?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I had to look at their schedule, so that'll be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
They get tested because the Raptors are a team that I think could be really good this season. I think they're another team that could become a contender in the East with the right moves. It's going to be interesting with athleticism that the Cavs have, and the Raptors just have a lot of guys who can play a lot of different positions, and it's they're super fun to always watch. Just the way Nick Nurse coaches them, and just you got Barnes, Fred VanVleet's been really good. So I'm super excited to see those two really go at it. 'Cause I think those are two teams that have made moves, and a lot of people think that they could become contenders, but a lot of people probably have them a tier below, like the teams like Boston, Miami, and Milwaukee. I'd say probably Philly's interesting as well, but between Toronto and Cavs, it's just interesting. Can they compete with the top teams in the East in the playoffs? Still unsure. Obviously, the season not even started yet, so can't really judge anything, but it'll be interesting to see how those two teams match up from opening night, because I'm sure they'll be competitive in the standings all season long, so it'll be fun to see how they match up to get all started, because I'm sure they'll have some great games this season.
What do you think about Colin Sexton agreeing to join Utah?
I like it. He got a good payday, and he's going to get a chance to get some meaningful minutes, and he'll be one of the key guys for them next season, if not the go-to option offensively. It depends how the roster shapes up, but it looks like he might be that go-to guard for them, and that's what he wanted to be, and he'll get decent payday to do it. And we'll find out how good Colin Sexton can really be. I have some thoughts. I don't know if I ever seen him really become an all-star caliber guard, but he's a guy who can really score the basketball, and that's something that the Jazz are going to need. Even if they're not competing winning games, they need guys like that who can excite the fans and like really help out with that aspect as well. So that'll be very important, I think, for him. And he was just a free agent for so long. I'm glad he was able to work out that he was able to find a team that could use him and pay him, and it worked out for the Cavs as well, getting Mitchell back.
So moving on to your team, the Grizzlies schedule. I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are on their schedule.
I'm super, super excited to see how they really get the season started off. I like the Knicks, Rockets, couple good ones to start. At Dallas, that's the Saturday to start the season, Saturday night. I believe that's on primetime, one of the channels. But that's one I'm really have circled to start off as like a really key game in October that really sticks out to me. And then Christmas Day against the Warriors is the game that I'm really most interested for in the regular season. But it's just going to be exciting to see how the Grizzlies can get started without Jaren Jackson Jr. Just some minor roster changes, nothing major. Lost Kyle Anderson, but nothing crazy happened to the roster too much. They're just going to have to get used to it going without Jaren Jackson Jr. and then later in the season help him get acclimated for the playoffs. But they've done it before, so every team has to deal with it. So just excited to see how they can get started and really see if they can make a push to winning the West this year.
What intriguing games on the schedule are you most looking forward to?
So yeah, the Warriors Christmas was the one that really sticks out. But then a couple other matchups that I mentioned, the Dallas one. That's definitely one. Another one that really makes me interested is the Phoenix Suns games. I don't know exactly what days those are, but the Suns matchups are interesting because a lot of people are kind of riding on the Suns as contenders, including myself actually. But it'll be interesting to see how those teams match up because Phoenix is still very good. It's just, do they still have enough to make a run this year? We'll see. But it'll be interesting to see those games. And then just against some of the other young star teams, the games against Cleveland will be fun. They were fun last year. Against some of the younger teams like OKC not having Chet kind of stinks, but they still have some fun young guys. And I'm just excited to see Grizzlies against some of these other young teams who might be like a year or two behind them in the rebuild process, and just see how these teams are starting to come up kind of like the Grizzlies did the past couple of years. Orlando's one I'm really excited to watch too.
I'm not sure if Memphis plays Detroit. Do they?
Yeah, they will. That'll be another one. I don't know exactly when that.
That game will be very interesting to see how Jaden Ivey plays against them.
That'll be very interesting.
Yeah.
See Ivy and Cade. See how they mix. I'm really excited to see those two. But yeah, especially against the Grizzlies, see how they kind of throw those two at Jaw. But those two are going to be fun to watch. I'm pumped to see it.
So moving on to my team, the Sixers. There's a ton to look forward to, which they've made some big positive impacts during this offseason. And they just got Montrezl Harrell. He is a 6'7", 240-pound Louisville product. And he has averaged 15.2 points and 5.8 rebounds. So this addition for the Sixers will be a very interesting addition to go along with Embiid as a backup. And I'm interested to see how Montrez fits with this offense when Embiid is injured or not, or just sitting for some time on the bench. What are your thoughts, Chris, on this addition?
No, I agree with like you made up. Like this is gonna be about Embiid's gonna have some injuries, even if they're minor. He's gonna have days off where he just rests. And having Montrezl Harrell in those 20, hopefully not many more games where you're without Embiid, but like having Harrell in those games, a guy who has some flaws in his game that makes him an interesting playoff player. See how that work out. But in the regular season, he's gonna help a ton. A guy who can rebound the ball, who can score inside, who can just really give some effort and really make a big impact. But I think having him for that is very key because you had a couple guys last year kind of mixed in, but I don't think you really had that guy who could really, at the backup center spot, play a ton and you could rely on when Embiid without in the regular season. And I think that kind of hurt guys in some ways. So I think having Halo is going to really help solidify that. And you still have some of these other guys who can contribute too. I'm interested to see Paul lead role this year on the team. Hopefully he can get minutes, but having Hale, the guy, so you don't have to just rely on Reed, like the DeAndre Jordan last year. You have Hale's a guy who's clearly an upgrade over what you had last season, and I think that's a big need that you guys had to fill. And doing it this late in free agency is kind of crazy. So that's a big time success of the signing.
I'm very interested to see how Tyrese Maxey does this season. I know that he had a great impact to the Sixers last season for sure. And I think that his work ethic is top notch for this offense. And with the addition with Melton from the Grizzlies, I think that this team is championship solid team that's ready to compete on any level. And I think that having this type of team as of now will be a big impact for this East Division, no matter who they play.
I agree. I really like the Sixers' chances. I think Anthony Melton and PJ Tucker, those are the two really good role players who can contribute in major ways. And they had a couple guys last year, but those are two guys who I think are upgrades over anybody they had at those spots last year. So it'll be interesting to see how good Harden can be and the jump Maxey can make. You mentioned that, but you can get in Embiid, so if he's healthy and you get these guys playing like they're capable of. This is a team that can definitely do some damage and contend in the Eastern Conference, I think.
All right, so the other two teams I wanted to touch on was the Lakers and the Knicks. What do you think about the Lakers this season?
So the Lakers are going to be interesting. The big thing, if LeBron and AD are healthy, like actually healthy, they should make the playoffs at least. But that's not a given considering how the past couple years have gone. But it'll be exciting to see. Hopefully, it works out a little bit better than last year. Because seeing those two in the playoffs is dangerous. So Davis is the one. He kind of disappointed me a little bit last season, but I expect him to bounce back a little bit, kind of showcase how dominant he is. Because I want to see LeBron in the playoffs one more time at least, with like a legitimate chance to go get it. He's special to watch, and even though he's kind of slowed down a tiny bit, maybe he still has that gear to be that dude in the playoffs. That he's on another level compared to most. So excited to see that. But they don't have a lot besides those two. Westbrook's just a terrible fit on this team, quite frankly. But Beverly will help. He's an guy they got, but they don't have a lot. They're not done making moves for sure. They'll continue to tinker the roster, maybe even before opening night, because they should be interested in a couple of the Utah players if they can get those guys. But depending on what kind of trade markets those guys feel, like Bogdanovich, Conley, and Clarkson, a couple of the notable ones. But it'll be interesting to see what they can do to tinker this roster. As is, they're not a contender by any means, and I still do find it hard to believe that they will be able to tweak this roster or overhaul it to make them a contender. But when you have LeBron and AD, anything can happen, so you can't completely count them out, I feel like.
What do you think about their matchup opening night?
Sorry, I was cutting out. Which matchup?
The opening night matchup.
Do they play Golden State opening night?
Yeah,
Okay,
I think so. Yeah.
sweet. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, I mean, Golden State's interesting. I wonder how good they'll be this year. They won the championship. That's crazy because I didn't think they had that in them, but the championship pedigree and their experience got the job done. I was super impressed by them. So, and I think they'll showcase that opening night. I think they're going to go all out. I think they beat the Lakers bad opening night.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron and AD are good, but in the minutes when those two on the floor, I think it gets ugly real quick. I don't think the Lakers have enough to compete with Golden State, and I think it'll really showcase how far away they are from contending in just that first game. Like, you can't overreact to any games, obviously, but I think we'll see opening night that they're not on that level.
So moving on to the Knicks, I know that they've been in conversation of being a potential contender in the playoffs with their additions. What do you think about their team as of now?
I personally don't see them making the playoffs, but I mean, 2 years ago they made it, and then last year was disappointing for sure. Interesting what kind of jump RJ Barrett makes. Can he become like an all-star type, or is he still just like borderline type? So like they need him to be a certified all-star. Julius Randle took a step back last year, and I don't see him getting back to his most improved player form. I don't see it happening. So I think that's a big concern for them. But they have some decent players that just didn't work out last year. Like, they weren't terrible last season, so they definitely could make that jump up. But the Eastern Conference has gotten so much better.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the Hawks got DeJounte Murray, and we mentioned the Cavs already. Like, those are two teams I definitely see above the Knicks. And then it's just like there's not many playoff spots left. So it'll be interesting to see what the Knicks can do. I see them on the outside looking in for now. Maybe they can sneak into the play-in, but I think it's going to be an uphill battle for the Knicks to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think they just don't have that mentality of what other teams have, like Boston, Cleveland, Philadelphia, Miami, and I just feel like they don't have the type of tools to be a real contender.
I don't either. Definitely agree with that.
So it's been a blast talking basketball with you, and this is just the start. This is going to be a very hectic couple of months ahead of us.
Yeah.
With a ton of basketball content coming from us too, and I'm excited for every single episode.
Definitely. It's going to be a heck of a season. We got college basketball on the way too shortly we'll get into, but NBA is going to be crazy.
Yeah, definitely.